The year is 2470 BCE. The Nile is just beginning to recede, and the desert breathes dust into your lungs before your eyes even open. Your body doesn't rest anymore. It simply stops moving when night comes. The mat you sleep on is brittle. Your knees ache from days without pause. There's no door to shut, no room to call your own, just rows of bodies sprawled on the ground like discarded tools. You hear coughing, the low groans of men whose muscles tore weeks ago. But there's no healer here, just the thin chance that the worst pain passes before the next round begins. Then it comes, the shout. Harsh, guttural. The same voice every morning. A foreman you've never seen without a club in his hand. No time to stretch, to think, to even blink sleep away. You rise because you have to. The air is cool, but only for a few moments. The heat will come fast and cruel. You rub your eyes. Sand clings to your lashes, grits between your teeth. There's blood on your fingers from scratching too hard in the night. You feel it, but you don't wince. There's no room for pain here. Only action. You were drafted at the end of planting season. Not enslaved. That word means something else. But when the scribes came to your village, they took names. Every household owed service, and your number was called. You left your wife and sons behind. You didn't cry. No one does. This is what it means to owe Pharaoh. This is what it means to be taxed not in grain, but in flesh. You walked for days, watched the Great Pyramid grow larger with every step. Then the camp swallowed you whole. Everything here is built to contain. The huts are packed, the food sparse, the rules sharp. No fighting, no rest outside the appointed hours, no wandering. The guards don't patrol, they wait. You know the punishment. Lashes, rations cut, or worse. You've seen a man vanish after talking back. No one asks questions. Your tools are already at the site. The copper picks, the heavy hammers, the thin cords used to measure cuts. You don't own any of it. Not even the water you'll drink later, if you're allowed. The only thing that's yours is your labor. And that, too, is fading. Your back has knots you can't reach. Your hands have blisters layered on blisters. You can't remember the last time you didn't limp. But you walk. You rise. You obey. Because that's how you live another day. The sun hasn't risen yet, but it will. And when it does, it won't hide. It'll bear down on your skull like a hammer. You don't speak to the men beside you. They're strangers, farmers from far-off gnomes, fishermen, potters, even scribes fallen from favor. You don't know their stories. You don't care. In the pit, all that matters is who breaks first. You tell yourself it won't be you. You shoulder your pack and march toward the quarry. You do not pray. The gods already know what you are. The march begins in silence, always in silence. Voices are not welcome before stone. You step in line as the stars begin to fade, feet dragging through soft sand that turns coarser near the embankment. Around you, hundreds of men move as one exhausted beast. Heads bowed, shoulders hunched, eyes blank. A few cough, a few limp. No one complains. Complaints are invitations for the lash, and a lash is never late. The path is well-worn, trampled by years of bare feet and broken hope. It weaves through the low scrubland at the edge of the desert plateau, past the rows of limestone chips and cracked blocks that didn't pass inspection. You can see the old sleds stacked by the road, long, heavy frames of acacia wood, many splintered from overuse. Some men carry ropes coiled around their necks like serpents. Others carry buckets, levers, or copper chisels dulled to the bone. You carry nothing today, but your body alone is already too heavy. The sun begins to rise, gold first, then fire. It comes fast and high, as if furious. It does not ask your permission. There is no shade here. The wind is dry and mean. It doesn't cool, it strips. Your lips crack, the skin on your arms flakes away. You blink against the light, but the dust clings to your lashes. Somewhere ahead, a camel bell jingles, probably a cart for an overseer. You won't see the rider. You never do. They watch from a distance, above, behind shade screens and head wraps, while the taskmasters, men of the whip, walk among you. The first crack is always a warning. The leather winds through the air like a scream with no breath behind it. The second one lands, hard, loud, real. You don't need to look to know it found its mark. Someone staggered. Someone stepped too slow. There's no room for rhythm here. Only pace, and pace is sacred to the foreman. One wrong step and you're next. So you adjust. You dig in. You forget your blistered feet. You move. No one speaks, but the rhythm of the march grows tenser. The sandals slap faster. Men breathe louder. It's not fear. It's calculation. Everyone is measuring the distance to the quarry, the slope of the ridge, the weight they'll soon pull. Everyone knows what's coming. The quarry appears not all at once, but in pieces. First the piles of rubble, great white heaps of discarded rock. Then the ramps, steep, chiseled earthworks, hardened by years of sleds grinding grooves into the surface. Then the cranes, built of cedar and rope, creaking even at rest. And finally, the pits, deep gouges in the earth, where men already labor before the sun has cleared the horizon. Some cut, some sort, some just stand, waiting for their orders, their tools, or their punishment. You enter without greeting. No one welcomes you to the quarry. You belong to it, and it has no voice, no face, no mercy. The taskmasters bark instructions. Not names, not ranks, just numbers. 4 to the lower block line. 2 on sleds. 1 rope runner. 3 hammer line. You don't choose. You don't protest. You go where you're pointed, where your name, the one nobody remembers, isn't needed. Today it's the east face. Cutting. You're handed a pick. It was sharp once, maybe a few days ago. Now the edge is battered. You run your thumb across it, and it leaves dust, not a cut. Doesn't matter. You swing anyway. The stone doesn't yield. It never does. You strike again. Then again. Every blow a whisper against a wall that doesn't listen. Beside you, another man wheezes. His swing is off. The whip sings again, and he drops. But the overseer doesn't even pause. 2 more are called forward to replace him. There's no talk of injury, no pause for the fallen. The block he was shaping still needs to be cut. Time is not generous, and neither are the quotas. The sun is high now, but still climbing. Sweat pours into your eyes. You taste iron. Your shoulders scream. The copper pick is hot in your hand. You keep going because stopping isn't an option. Not here. You hear the crack of a sled being loaded nearby, the groan of ropes, the screech of wood. The first load is ready. Soon it'll be dragged up the ramp by 20 men with cords across their backs like yokes. If they move too slow, they'll be replaced. If the stone tips, one might not get out from under it. But the stone will go. The stone always goes. You're not a builder. You're not an engineer. You don't know what happens to these blocks after they leave this pit. You've never seen the apex of the pyramid. You've only seen its shadow, creeping longer each year as it rises. You hear it will house the king. That will last forever. That you're building a stairway to heaven. But all you know is the weight of copper, the sting of dust, and the sound of your own breath, rattling through cracked lips. No one tells you how long you'll be assigned here. A season, a year, until you drop. No one tells you why some are sent back to their villages and others just vanish. You stopped wondering. You only swing. You only march. You only survive. Tomorrow, it will be the same. Unless you fall. And even then, someone else will swing where you once stood. The work never stops. The stone doesn't care. The stone doesn't speak, but it rules. And your hands, already raw, tremble under its weight. You've cut for hours now. The sun is high, nearly straight overhead, and the heat no longer radiates, it suffocates. Every breath feels shallow, like you're inhaling sand through wet cloth. Your skin burns, not just your back and shoulders, but the insides of your elbows, the space behind your knees. The sun finds every corner of flesh and sets it on fire. There's no wind, no clouds, no shade. Then comes the signal, a low drumbeat, struck by a foreman standing on a rise. It's not music. It's not art. It's the call to pause, not for rest, but to move the stone. The larger blocks are never left too long in the pit. They're dragged, slow and brutal, across sledges greased with mud, or, when that runs out, water, urine, anything slippery enough. Your arms twitch as you're assigned to the pull team. You didn't ask. You just get handed a rope, thick and frayed, and take your place along the edge of the sled like oxen lining up for yoke. The rope cuts into your shoulder the moment the sled jerks forward. You all lean in unison. First step, second, then the third, one doesn't land right. A man slips. The whole line stumbles. The foreman yells but doesn't wait. The whip answers before the words do. Someone shrieks. You don't look. You pull. That's the rule. That's the only rule. The block is 30 tons. You don't measure it. You feel it. The way your tendons strain, the way your teeth grit without command, the way your feet dig into the packed earth like tree roots, trying to survive in the desert. Each meter is earned with blood. Some men cry out. One vomits from the effort. Another pisses himself, but doesn't stop pulling. If he does, he'll be replaced. Or left behind. When the block reaches the ramp, it has to be turned. Men with crowbars wedge the sled into position while others shove rollers underneath. A wrong move here can kill. If the sled tips, the block will crush bones without pause. It has before. You've seen it. The mess is always cleaned fast. Tools don't rest on blood. You move to the water line. It's not a break, not really. But it's the only pause you'll get. A jar is passed to you, coarse clay, filled with stale water that's already warm. You sip. Too much and you'll vomit. Too little and you'll collapse. You ration instinctively. Then a strip of bread, flat, dry, crusted with salt and grit. You chew it even though your mouth is cracked and sore. It doesn't matter if it hurts. Hunger is worse. Then comes the beer. It's sour, weak, barely fermented, but it's thick and it sits in your belly like food. It numbs a little. Not enough, but a little. Men sit in silence. No jokes. No laughter. Talking takes energy. You scan the field and see hundreds more still working, cutting, dragging, aligning. The pyramid in the distance casts no shade, only pressure. You can't see the top from here, only the lower levels, where blocks are arranged by a class of workers you've never met. They wear lighter linen, carry tools with edges, not stumps. They don't bleed the same. They don't march the same road. The overseers move among you now, counting. They carry tablets and styluses, marking each block moved, each team that performed. They don't ask your name. They don't need it. You're a tally, a figure, a number in a column. If your output drops tomorrow, they'll notice. Not because they care about you, but because you're part of the system that can't stall. The meal ends too quickly. A whip cracks, not in anger, but as command. Time's up. You stand. Slowly. Ankles scream. Spine wails. You brace your hand on your knee, rise, and return to your post. The block you were working earlier has split wrong. It has to be reshaped. More wasted time. More weight on your back. There are men here older than you. Scarred. Bent. Men whose hands have become clawed. Fingers twisted from years of wielding poor tools against harder stone. Some barely speak anymore. Just gestures. Nods. They were once farmers too, probably. Or fishermen. Or herders. Now, they're creatures of labor, devoured by the work and shaped into something harder. You see them and wonder, how long until I become that? Mid-afternoon now. The sun doesn't move. Or maybe it does, but it feels like it's pinned in place above your head, hammering down. The air smells like sweat and limestone. Someone has passed out nearby. Two workers drag him aside. No one fetches a medic. If he wakes, he works. If not, someone else gets his place. The rhythm returns. Chip, lift, chip, drag, chip, wince. A percussion of suffering wrapped in duty. You wonder how the blocks at the pyramid's summit ever reached that height. Some say they used long ramps, stretching for miles. Others whisper of divine power, of secrets only priests know. You've never seen such ramps. You've never met such gods. You work. You bleed. You don't ask. The sun dips lower, but refuses to soften. Heat still rises off the stone like breath from a kiln. Your arms no longer feel like they belong to you. They swing, lift, and strain by command of instinct more than will. You stop counting the strokes of your chisel. It no longer matters. You chip, we're told, shift the dust, move the fragments to the discard pile. Then again, and again. Somewhere nearby, a man groans loud enough to be noticed. He's been limping for days. Now he falls. He tries to rise, but his knee gives. Two others hesitate, friends maybe, village kin, but the overseer is faster. The man on the ground gets no help. The foreman drags him by the arm like a sack of grain. He's tossed to the edge of the work zone and left there in the sun. No one checks if he's alive. A replacement is called. The rhythm must not break. You shift your grip. The copper chisel is slick with sweat and blood. Your palms are torn open, and the skin splits deeper with every impact. You don't bind them. Cloth would rot by the end of the day. Better to let the wounds crust. The pain sharpens your focus. Later, you're reassigned to hauling sled components. The wood is splintered, heat-warped, and creaks like it's ready to snap. You balance the crossbeam on your shoulder, step carefully down the path, and drop it at the base of the ramp. Someone barks your next task before you catch your breath. This continues for hours. The work changes but never stops. Stones must be aligned, rubble cleared, ropes maintained, pulleys checked, measurements rechecked. The supervisors prowl like wolves, eyes sharp, sticks always ready. They don't yell unless you fail. But their silence is worse. It means they're watching. One man near the base ramp falters. He stumbles as a sled shifts. The corner of the stone clips his ankle. He howls, the bone shattered clean through. He writhes in the dust, clutching at his leg. No one helps. The overseer calls 2 others to pull him aside. His tools are stripped from him before he's even dragged away. You don't see where they take him. You don't ask. As dusk begins to hint at the horizon, the order is finally given. Pull back. Not rest, just withdrawal. You don't celebrate. There is no joy in the pause. It means the worst is over, but only for a few hours. You collect your tools, what's left of them, and limp back to the camp. No one walks quickly. No one talks. The air has shifted. Cooler but not kind. The heat has retreated, but it's left its mark deep in your muscles, your joints, your lungs. You pass a column of men carrying smaller stones up the side paths. Some are teenagers, new to the cruise. They still try to prove themselves, still believe effort might earn reward. You once believed that too. Now, you just want to reach your mat before your legs give out. Back at the labor camp, the smell of cooked barley hangs faint in the air. A communal pot, stirred with reeds, thick with mash. The queue is already long. You take your place in silence. When it's your turn, a ladle is plunged into the pot and dumped into your bowl. No eye contact, no words. You carry the bowl to a corner and sit, folding your legs slowly, carefully. Your knees crack. You drink more than eat, swallowing the mash like medicine. You don't even taste it anymore. Someone near you hums a tune from a Delta village. A lullaby, maybe. You don't know it. You stare into your bowl until it's empty, then set it aside. No one washes dishes here. There's no water for that. Night is falling fast now. The wind returns, dry and sharp. It picks up the dust, swirls it through the camp. You wipe your eyes with your forearm. There's a gash across your wrist you didn't notice before. A clean line, red and angry. You press your thumb against it to slow the bleed. No use wrapping it. You lay down on the mat. It's the same spot as yesterday. The same as last week. You don't remember how long you've been here. Weeks? A season? Maybe more. The days blend together, as featureless as the stone you cut. Above you, the stars begin to appear. They are beautiful, silent, cruel. You trace one with your eyes, then lose it to a gust of sand. The pain in your back is sharp, constant. You roll to your side to ease it, but it doesn't help. Nothing helps. Your hands twitch even in stillness, fingers curling from memory, as if still gripping the rope or hammer. Some men snore. Others groan. Some just stare upward, eyes wide and unmoving. You wonder if they sleep with their eyes open or if they've forgotten how to close them. You think of home, not in words, but in flashes. A clay jar on a windowsill. The smell of river grass. Your child's voice, now faded. You try to summon it clearly, but it drifts. You close your eyes. The wind hisses through the camp walls. Your body is dust, bruise, and silence. You have nothing left to give, but tomorrow you will give again. Because here, that's not a choice. That's life. You wake before the light touches the sky. Your eyes open not from rest, but from habit, a rhythm burned into your flesh. There's no sunrise to welcome you, only the memory of it, always the same. You sit up slowly. Every joint argues. Your mouth is dry again, dust caked along your gums. Your fingers are stiff. You try to stretch them, but they barely unfold. The wounds haven't healed. They've just sealed over enough to be torn open again. No voice calls you this time. No whip cracks yet. But you know what comes. The same walk. The same hall. You feel the pull of it even now, like gravity reversed. Not toward the sky, but into the dirt, into the quarry, into the slope beneath that unmovable pyramid. You stand. Every part of your body protests. Your knees buckle slightly. You right yourself and keep going. There's no breakfast, just the last sour taste of beer from the night before, long gone from your belly. Some men mutter prayers as they rise. You don't. You don't remember the gods anymore. You remember the weight. By the time you reach the quarry again, the heat is already returning. You were assigned to a new station, the high sleds. Not the lower routes for hauling, but the ramps where blocks already cut are dragged up toward the growing face of the pyramid. It's considered the worst duty, the most dangerous, the most punishing. The ramps are steep, steeper than they should be. Some say they were made narrow on purpose to save space. Others say it's to keep the blocks coming fast, so they can't stall. Either way, it means constant pull, constant drag, constant risk. You take your position. The ropes are thicker here, coarser. Some have blood soaked into them that's never been washed out. The block is already in place, a square monolith, smoothed on all visible sides, marked with faint ink to align it properly above the lower layers. It's massive. Even a sled groans beneath it. And yet it must rise. You lean in. The taskmaster calls for rhythm. The drummer strikes once, twice, and the pull begins. The rope tightens. You feel your shoulder scream. Your ribs ache from the torque. Your thighs tremble. Every part of your body resists, but the line must move. You dig your heels into the hardened earth and push. Each meter takes 10 minutes, sometimes more. The foremen shout, adjusting angles, checking the ramp's surface. Water is poured ahead of the sled to ease the drag, but it dries in seconds. The mud cakes too fast. It slows the sled. The lash follows. A man behind you falls. He rolls down the ramp, colliding with another. The line buckles. The foreman doesn't stop the pull. He just redirects it. Keep going, he shouts. Keep going. The fallen man isn't crushed, but he's broken. His leg is twisted backward. Someone pulls him aside. You don't see what happens next. You can't stop. The block is nearly at the top. If it doesn't reach the landing today, it will have to be moved back down and start over. That means punishment. For everyone. You reach the edge. The final incline. The hardest part. Here, no sled supports help you. The wood frame is removed. The block is rolled forward on lubricated logs, while you and 5 others push it with levers. The heat here is worse than the quarry. You're higher up, no shade, no wind, just open fire above and burning stone below. The pyramid breathes heat like a forge. Your chest feels crushed. Your hands slip on the pole. You try again. Eventually, the block slides into place. A click, barely audible, as it rests atop the last row. 2 stoneworkers check the angle. They say nothing. They nod. The taskmaster pulls you away. No thanks. No rest. You descend. You spend the afternoon dragging broken fragments from the cutting pits. These aren't the beautiful white blocks that reach the top. These are flawed stone, too brittle, too uneven, rejected by the priests who oversee the quality. You don't know what happens to these blocks after you move them. Maybe they're used for walls. Maybe they're discarded. It doesn't matter. They're just one more thing to carry. At one point, your vision blurs. You blink. It doesn't clear. You rub your eyes, but the dust grinds into them. You stagger. No one helps. You lean against a broken pillar for breath. That's when a foreman spots you. Move. You do. You don't want the whip. Later, someone near you speaks. Not a conversation. No one has the strength for that. But he says, "My brother died on this slope last year." He doesn't say more. He doesn't need to. You nod. That's enough. That's all the words anyone has left. As the sun sinks, the light sharpens. Shadows stretch long. The pyramid glows gold at its edges. It looks beautiful, almost divine. But you know better. You know every block is a weight dragged by hands like yours. Every layer is a grave for someone who won't be remembered. The Pharaoh's tomb rises. Yours is never built. The end of the day is called. You don't cheer. You don't even breathe relief. You just turn, walk, one step after another. Back at the camp, the food is worse tonight. The mash is thin, the beer weaker than usual. You drink anyway. Your stomach is hollow, your throat raw. You eat with one hand. The other won't open fully. A scribe arrives near the edge of the huts. He reads off names. A few are reassigned. A few are dismissed, temporary release. No one claps for them. You just listen, in case your name is called. It isn't. You lie down under the stars. Your skin burns from the day. You feel the imprint of the ramp in your back. The wind comes again, whispering through the camp. It sounds almost like a voice. You close your eyes, but sleep does not come quickly. Your hands still pull ropes in the dark. You no longer dream. Or if you do, they're fragments of work, dragging stone, lifting rope, hearing your name, never spoken. The stars move overhead. The night wind hums low, and somewhere in your sleep, you still hear the creak of sled wood and the sharp sting of the whip echo in your ears. When your eyes finally open, they open to the same sky, the same cold air of pre-dawn, the same slow, aching crawl into consciousness. No signal yet, no call, but your body is already moving. It doesn't wait for orders anymore, it knows. You rise slowly, bones grinding, muscles coiled in knots so tight they've forgotten how to relax. You spit dust from your mouth and taste copper. Your back is slick with last night's sweat, now dried and sour. You feel the scabs on your palms tear slightly as you stretch. The wound is reopening. Again, it will keep reopening until there's nothing left but scar. Today, you're not headed to the cutting pit or the ramp. Today, you're assigned a transport crew. The stones that were placed yesterday need reinforcement blocks. Smaller cuts, but no lighter. These aren't dragged far, just up and over around the base to the access lifts. But the path is narrow, crumbling in parts, and the sleds used for transport here aren't well kept. Some have missing struts. Others are warped from sun and strain. The blocks ride uneven, and if they slide, they break bones. The moment you grip the rope, your shoulder screams. You pull anyway. The stone shifts, the sled wobbles. You brace. Two men to your right dig their feet into the slope, trying to balance the load. It catches on a crack in the ramp. You lean in, muscles straining, and with a grunt from all four of you, the sled rolls free. You don't speak. No one cheers. You keep going. Up ahead, the access lift stands waiting. A crude platform hoisted by manpower alone, with massive ropes fed through wooden pulleys bound to stone pillars. This is the work you dread most. It's not the lifting. It's the danger. The ropes, old and dry, can snap. The wood, swollen from the last Nile flood, may splinter. And if the balance is wrong, the entire lift will fall, taking workers and stone with it. You load the block with care. You wait for the call. The lift begins to rise, inch by inch, pulled from above by other laborers on the platform's twin. You watch the ropes twist. The wood groan. The block sways. It makes it to the landing. Barely. Another worker guides it into position. You move to get the next. By midday, your lips are cracked open. Your tongue sticks to your teeth. The jar of beer they hand you tastes worse than usual, like it's gone sour in the sun. You drink it anyway. There's no water. Not for you. The bread is rougher today, barley mixed with stone dust. You chew slowly, eyes scanning the horizon for nothing in particular, just looking for anything that isn't stone. All you see is desert, sky, the endless slope of limestone stretching toward the blue above. A boy no older than 12 drops to his knees near the path. He's part of the support crew, brought from a northern village after his father's draft ended. He should be handing tools or fetching ropes, but he collapsed. One foreman drags him away by the collar. The boy doesn't cry, just folds over, face down in the dirt. No one helps him. A replacement is called. Another boy. You watch them pass, one broken, one new. You return to the lift. Another block. Another risk. You don't even flinch when the platform groans under the weight. It creaks, sways, but holds. You breathe barely. Later, you're moved to the back slope. Here, work teams repair the ramps and reinforce the retaining walls. You haul buckets of mud mixed with gravel, packing them into the gaps between stones. It's lower work, dirtier, slower, less honored. But the load is no lighter. You climb with each bucket slung on your back, dripping down your spine. You feel the mud harden as it dries. It crusts your skin, clings to your sandals. You barely notice. The priest walkers arrive near dusk, white-robed, clean, untouched by dust. They pass along the base of the pyramid, inspecting progress. They don't speak to you. You're not even allowed to look at them. But you see them from the corner of your eye, see how they walk with ease, how their skin isn't burned raw. They speak softly with the engineers, the elite. They point at the structure. You hear the word divine. They say this place will reach the heavens. You want to ask, what does heaven need with blood? But you don't speak. You lower your head, and you haul another load. The sun sinks behind the western ridge. The work bell sounds. Your body no longer feels your own. You walk in a haze. You reach camp not by will, but by direction, like a river following its dry course. Tonight there's fish mash in the pot. Rare, likely leftovers from the royal kitchen up the Nile. The smell is strong, better than usual, but the taste is bitter. Too much salt. You eat it all the same. A man beside you chews with a broken tooth. He doesn't wince. As darkness falls, you stare at the fire pits. Someone sings softly in a language you don't understand. It's not for you. Nothing here is. You listen anyway, until the voice fades and the night takes it. You lie back, staring at the pyramid rising in the distance. It is taller now than it was when you arrived. Each level laid stone by stone, each stone carried by hands like yours. You try to imagine what it will look like finished, smooth, white, glowing under the sun. A monument to eternity. But you won't be there to see it. You know that now. You turn your face to the earth. You try not to dream. By now the pyramid is towering. It casts a shadow so wide that entire parts of the labor camp fall under it before the sun even sets. You see it every morning, how the monument stretches skyward, swallowing more of the horizon each week. Its slope is steeper now, its lines sharper. Polished blocks begin to line the sides near the summit, dragged up with care, set with prayers. You won't touch those stones. That work is done by the specialists, by the stone priests and overseers' chosen crews. You are lower. You stay lower. Your tasks change again. You're moved to the lifting cradles at the platform base, massive wooden frames that hoist blocks by lever and pulley onto narrow stepped risers. These are experimental, dangerous devices designed to save time. They don't always work, but the overseers keep using them because the Pharaoh's architect ordered it. You've seen 2 collapse already. You're part of the counterweight team. That means climbing into a basket of stones and descending, using your own weight to lift a block on the opposite end. It's precise work. One misstep, one wrong pull of the guide rope, and the whole mechanism shatters, or worse, swings the stone loose. If it falls, it kills whoever's beneath. There is no room for nerves, no room for error. You keep your hands on the rope, your eyes on the sky, and your feet planted firm. As the pulley creaks and the cradle rises, your stomach lurches. You're suspended over hard stone with nothing but rope and wood holding you. The block on the other side begins to move. Slowly, trembling. You feel every shift. You hear every splinter. Then the basket descends. You steady yourself. When you land, your legs barely hold. You get out, and the next man steps in. This goes on for hours. That evening, a storm threatens on the horizon. Not rain. There is no rain this season. But wind. The sky turns a strange color, dark, red-tinged. The supervisors bark orders. Work must continue. Blocks must be moved before the dust rolls in. You work faster, hands numb, eyes burning. The wind picks up. You squint against the sting. Then the sand hits, a sudden gust, hard as hail. It rips across the site, throwing grit into eyes and mouths. Some men drop their tools and run for cover. Others keep going. You don't stop. You can't. A rope slips. A block jerks. You hear a scream. You turn just in time to see a man, one of the weight crew, tumble from the lift. He hits the ramp below with a sound you feel in your teeth. The cradle spins wildly. The foreman shouts for a stop. Workers rush to hold it down. The man on the ground doesn't move. No one mourns. You stay until the wind passes. When it does, it leaves grit in your hair, your ears, your skin. You feel like stone yourself now, worn down, no longer soft. You're dismissed late. The walk back to camp is nearly blind. Your eyes are swollen, nearly shut from dust. You barely find your mat. You collapse. That night, you wake coughing. A group of men near the center of camp are being led away. You recognize one. He's been here longer than most. A rope runner, fast on the lines. You don't know what he did. Maybe he talked back. Maybe he tried to run. Maybe he just worked too slow. You don't ask. The guards don't explain. You hear the blows from behind the huts. In the morning, the sun returns like nothing happened. The site is quiet. Too quiet. But the pyramid stands unchanged. Larger, stronger, glowing like polished bone in the morning light. You are reassigned again, foundation fill. This is where broken stone, scrap, and hardened mud are shoved into the interior gaps of the pyramid's lower levels. It's dark in the core, narrow, tight. The heat is worse here than outside. No wind reaches inside. The air is stale dead. You carry buckets of gravel on your shoulders through tight corridors, ducking beneath beams, squeezing between blocks. You don't know what these passages will become. You just fill them. Some say chambers are being built here. Secret rooms for the Pharaoh's journey to the afterlife. Some say treasures will be sealed inside. You see no treasure, just dust, spiders, dead bats, and soot-black walls. You shovel your load into the gaps, turn, and fetch another. Over and over, breathing only what your sweat evaporates. Outside, the priest-engineers chant over the final tiers. They bless each cornerstone. They draw glyphs in red ochre. You watch them from below. Their robes ripple in the breeze. They carry no tools, no burdens. But when they speak, even the overseers listen. They say the pyramid will be capped within a year, that the Pharaoh grows ill. That time is short. You hear whispers that more men will be conscripted, that the final ramp must be doubled in width, that thousands more will arrive from Lower Egypt. You remember your village. You wonder if your son, grown taller now, will be called, if he'll walk this same path. You hope not. You hope you're gone before then. That night, the elders among the workers gather in a circle, not to speak, just to sit. They stare at the fire. They don't talk of escape. No one ever does. There is nowhere to go. The desert is endless. The Nile is far, and the guards would hunt you long before you reach shade. Instead, one of them speaks a name, softly. Another adds another name. It's not a list. It's a remembering. Men who died here. Men whose bones are buried beneath the ramp, beneath the foundation, within the very walls they helped raise. You sit and listen. You know none of the names. But one day, someone might say yours. If they remember. More likely, they won't. You stare at the fire until your eyes burn. Tomorrow will come. And when it does, the stone will wait. And so will the rope. The sky turns a cooler blue in the early morning as the final months of work drag forward. You no longer feel the cold at dawn. Your skin is leathered, nerves dulled. The pyramid is near its completion now. The ramps have been narrowed to their final form, and the highest platform looms like a knife edge against the sun. A golden capstone, still hidden from view, is said to be ready. Waiting. Blessed. You won't see it placed. Men like you don't stand that high. Your labor has shifted again. No longer hauling, no longer lifting, no longer buried in the interior chambers. You're assigned to the finishing crew, not to carve the smooth outer stones, but to remove the waste. The debris. All the cracked limestone, splintered sled wood, dried mortar dust. It must be cleared before the royal officials arrive to inspect the final tiers. You sweep. You haul. You shovel piles of rubble into woven baskets, carry them to the edge of the plateau, and dump them into the wind. There are no animals to help. No carts. Only your back and your breath, and both are running thin. The overseers have grown more desperate. Time is short. They shout louder, strike faster. You see in their faces, not fear but urgency. The Pharaoh's illness is no longer rumor. His barge is no longer seen on a river. His priests speak often but not of him. That silence is loud. They say his soul must have a place to rise, that the work must end before his breath does. You're one of thousands in a final push. Around you, other men are breaking. A man beside you drops a basket and collapses on his knees. His breath rattles in his chest. He shakes like a leaf caught in the flood. The overseer approaches with the whip raised, but doesn't strike. Not this time. There's no time to replace him. Instead, the man is dragged to the shade of a tent and doused with stale water. His place is filled within minutes. The basket doesn't wait. You keep moving. Your legs are stiff, your hip clicks with every step, but you carry the weight. Up, down, dump, return. The rhythm is as familiar as breath. More familiar than names, than home. You hear news that some of the higher workers, stone setters, planners, recorders, are being dismissed. Their part is done. They're allowed to go home. You watch them leave with envy you dare not speak. You wonder what that feels like, to return to fields, to family. You don't even remember how the river smells, how your son's voice sounds. You haven't heard your own name in months. By midday, the sun is unbearable. You're sent to clean around the base shafts, narrow slits in the pyramid's outer casing meant for spiritual passage, or so the priests claim. The openings must be clear of dust. You crouch beside one, using your bare hands to brush away the fine particles. The stone is hot, almost burning. You pause only to wet your fingers with spit. The dust clings anyway. One of the younger laborers near the ramp base goes blind from sunstroke. It happens fast. One moment he's stacking bricks for a sidewall. The next he screams and falls, clawing at his face. They say he stared into the light too long. The heat boiled his sight away. He's led away, stumbling, muttering. The work does not stop. You drink beer thicker than mud. Chew bread baked hard enough to crack teeth. You feel your gut twist from rot. Your bowels haven't moved properly in days. You vomit behind a retaining wall, wipe your mouth, and return to work. No one asks. No one waits. Later, you're told to join a crew dragging the last ramp segments away. The massive structures of mud brick, gravel, and crushed limestone are being disassembled. Not for safety, not for memory, but to hide them. The Pharaoh's tomb must appear perfect, seamless. It must look like it rose from the earth untouched. You shovel the slope brick by brick. You haul fill down to the desert edge. Your work, your blood, is being buried beneath more stone. One night, a priest visits the labor camp. Not to punish, not to bless, just to observe. He walks in silence between the mats, robes fluttering in the wind. His eyes do not meet yours. He stops near a group of elders, nods, then continues on. He says nothing, but his presence is chilling. It means the time is close. You don't sleep that night. The next day, all work halts at noon. The wind dies. The drums sound 3 times, not twice. That never happens. Everyone is ordered to stand along the base. You take your place with hundreds of others. Foremen, engineers, priests, guards, even slaves from the palace kitchens. All are gathered. A procession comes. At first just silence, then the sound of bronze trumpets, sharp and cold. The royal seal is carried by a team of officials, a wooden box inlaid with gold. Behind them, wrapped in fine linen, his face obscured, the Pharaoh's body. You bow. All of you do. No one breathes. He is taken inside, the final chamber. A team of robed priests follows. Then a stone is pulled into place. Sealed. No ceremony. No cries. Just the sound of stone scraping stone. Finality. It's done. You're dismissed. But not home. You are kept to finish the cleanup. To rebuild the desert slope so it looks untouched. To vanish the scars of construction. You bury the tools. You scatter the remaining rubble. You smooth the earth with your feet. And when it is finished, you walk. No one says farewell. You leave with a group of 20 others. There are no songs. No thanks. Only dust on your face and scars on your hands. You walk the same road you came in on. The pyramid growing smaller behind you, even as it rises eternal in the eyes of others. You return to your village, a stranger. Your wife stares at you like you've come from the grave. Your son doesn't recognize your voice. You speak slowly. Your knees give when you bend. You can no longer grip a plow with strength. But you are back. You hear travelers speak of the Great Pyramid, how it shines in the sun, how its peak pierces the sky. You nod. You say nothing. You know what it's built on. Not stone, but flesh.